The man who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. Someone insults you. Your blood rises. Someone ignores you. You feel the need to chase them. Someone questions your competence. You immediately begin defending yourself. Someone disrespects you. And suddenly, they are controlling your entire mind. They did not need to threaten you. They did not need to command you. They simply pressed a button. And you reacted. This is one of the most dangerous forms of weakness. Because the person who can control your emotions can often control your behavior. And the man who cannot govern his reactions will eventually be governed by everyone who knows how to trigger them. The strongest man is not the man who never feels anger. He is the man who can feel anger and still choose what happens next. Because if anyone can make you angry whenever they want, they possess a key to your mind. And if they possess the key, you are not entirely free. The button. Every man has buttons. Some people know exactly where yours are. They know how to make you defensive, how to make you jealous, how to make you angry, how to make you desperate for approval, how to make you prove yourself. And once they discover the button, they no longer need to argue with you. They simply press it. A colleague questions your ability. You spend the entire day trying to prove yourself. A woman becomes distant. You begin chasing her attention. A stranger insults you. You allow someone you will never see again to ruin your evening. Someone criticizes your work. You stop listening to the criticism and begin defending your identity. Notice what has happened. The external event was small, but your reaction became enormous. The event happened outside of you, but now it is living inside your mind. You replay the words. You imagine better responses. You construct arguments that will never happen. You continue fighting a battle long after the other person has forgotten it existed. This is what it means to be provoked. Not simply to feel something, but to surrender your behavior to that feeling. And this distinction is everything, because emotions are not weakness, but automatic obedience to every emotion is. Feeling is not the same as obeying. Anger can appear. You do not have to become anger. Fear can appear. You do not have to obey fear. Jealousy can appear. You do not have to act from jealousy. The feeling is an event. Your response is a decision. Between the two, there is a space. Most people never notice that space. Something happens. They feel. They react. And only afterward do they ask, "Why did I do that?" But a disciplined man learns to occupy the space between stimulus and response. This is where freedom exists. The insult arrives. You pause. The criticism arrives. You listen. The temptation arrives. You decide. The anger rises. You observe it. You do not deny the emotion. You simply refuse to hand it the steering wheel. This is the difference between repression and self-mastery. A weak man says, "I am not angry," while anger controls every word he speaks. A disciplined man says, "I am angry," and then asks, "What should I do?" That question changes everything. Why provocation works. People often provoke others for one reason. They want a reaction. A reaction gives them information. It tells them what matters to you. It reveals where you are insecure. It shows them what you fear. It tells them how easily you can be moved. And once someone knows what moves you, they know how to move you. This is why the man who is desperate to prove that he cannot be disrespected is often incredibly easy to control. He can be manipulated through his pride. The man who desperately needs to appear intelligent can be controlled through his ego. The man who needs constant approval can be controlled through praise and withdrawal. The man who needs to be desired can be controlled through attention. The man who needs to win every argument can be controlled by simply giving him an argument. Your greatest attachment can become your greatest vulnerability. And the world is full of people who understand this. Some do it intentionally. Most do not. But the result is the same. If your emotional state can be easily manipulated, your behavior can be easily manipulated. The trap of proving yourself. One of the most powerful forms of control is the need to prove yourself. You are criticized. You immediately defend yourself. You are doubted. You immediately begin explaining. You are underestimated. You become obsessed with proving them wrong. And suddenly, they have given you a mission. You are now working for their opinion. Think about that. You may claim that you do not care what they think. But if their doubt determines what you do next, they are still influencing your life. You are not free from their judgment. You are simply reacting against it. There is a subtle difference between pursuing your purpose and living in opposition to someone else's opinion. One is freedom. The other is a different form of dependence. The man who must prove everyone wrong is still allowing everyone else to choose his direction. He is not being led by his own purpose. He is being led by resistance. And resistance can control you just as effectively as approval. The ancient discovery. Thousands of years ago, the Stoics understood this problem. Epictetus taught that people and events do not directly control our minds. Our judgments about those events shape our reactions. This does not mean that nothing matters. It does not mean that you should become emotionless. It means that the event and your interpretation of the event are not always the same thing. Someone insults you. That is an event. I have been diminished. That is an interpretation. Someone rejects you. That is an event. I am worthless. That is an interpretation. Someone criticizes your work. That is an event. My identity has been attacked. That is an interpretation. The event may be outside your control, but the meaning you attach to it is where your power begins. This is not always easy. Sometimes people genuinely hurt you. Sometimes criticism is unfair. Sometimes betrayal is real. Sometimes anger is justified. But even then, you still face a question. Will this event become information, or will it become your master? The difference between reaction and response. Reaction is fast. Response is deliberate. Reaction says, "You hurt me, so I will hurt you." Response asks, "What outcome do I actually want?" Reaction says, "I need to prove myself." Response asks, "Does this deserve my energy?" Reaction says, "They disrespected me." Response asks, "Is my dignity actually dependent on their behavior?" Reaction is about the moment. Response is about the consequences. A man who lives by reaction is constantly being redirected. Every insult changes his course. Every criticism changes his mood. Every rejection changes his identity. Every temptation changes his priorities. He becomes a ship without a destination, pushed in every direction by the wind. But a man with a clear purpose is different. He may notice the wind. He may adjust his sails. But he does not abandon the destination every time the weather changes. This is why direction is essential to self-control. The less clear you are about what matters, the easier you are to provoke. Because if you have no higher priority, every emotion becomes urgent. The 3-second gap. You do not need to become a monk. You do not need to eliminate emotion. You do not need to become perfectly calm. Begin with something much simpler. Create a gap. Before answering the message, pause. Before sending the angry reply, pause. Before confronting someone, pause. Before making the decision you know you will regret, pause. 3 seconds can be enough to interrupt an automatic pattern. Take a breath. Notice what is happening inside you. Ask, what am I feeling? What is this feeling trying to make me do? And if I obey it, where will it take me? That final question is powerful, because emotion is often focused on immediate relief. Anger wants release now. Pride wants victory now. Desire wants satisfaction now. Fear wants escape now. But your life is built by what happens after now. A mature man does not ask only, "What do I feel like doing?" He asks, "What will this action make me become?" Not every battle deserves you. One of the most powerful things a man can learn is that not every provocation deserves a response. Some people want your attention. Some want your anger. Some want to drag you into an argument because your reaction makes them feel powerful. And sometimes, the greatest response is no response at all. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is the refusal to enter a game designed by someone else. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to win every argument. You do not have to prove your strength to every person who doubts it. The sun does not argue with the cloud. The mountain does not chase the wind. And a man who knows his own direction does not need to turn around every time someone shouts from the roadside. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess. Spend it carefully. But self-control does not mean tolerating disrespect. There is an important distinction here. Not reacting does not mean allowing people to abuse you. Calmness does not mean passivity. Self-control does not mean having no boundaries. A man can be calm and still leave. He can be calm and still say no. He can be calm and still end a relationship. He can be calm and still confront injustice. The difference is simple. The uncontrolled man reacts because he has been emotionally captured. The disciplined man acts because he has made a decision. Both may leave. Both may confront. Both may fight. But only one is acting from choice. The goal is not to become harmless. The goal is to become difficult to manipulate. There is a difference. The man who cannot be controlled. Imagine a man who does not need to answer every insult, who does not chase every person who withdraws their attention, who does not collapse when criticized, who does not become arrogant when praised, who can walk away from temptation, who can sit with discomfort, who can feel anger without becoming its servant, who can experience rejection without turning against himself, who can hear an opinion without immediately needing to defend his identity. Such a man is difficult to control, not because he has no emotions, but because his emotions are not the highest authority in his life. He has something higher, a purpose, a standard, a direction, the code. This is the foundation of real masculine strength. Not the ability to dominate every room, but the ability to remain yourself inside every room. Not the ability to intimidate everyone around you, but the ability to remain calm when someone tries to intimidate you. Not the absence of emotion, but the presence of choice. Final thoughts. The next time someone provokes you, do not ask only, "How should I respond?" Ask, "Why do they have access to me? What button did they press? What fear did they touch? What insecurity did they expose? What are they trying to make me do? And most importantly, do I want to give them that power?" Because every reaction is a form of communication. When you react automatically, you reveal where your chains are. But when you can feel the anger and still choose, when you can feel the fear and still choose, when you can feel the desire to prove yourself and still choose, you begin to reclaim your freedom. The world will always contain people who try to provoke you. Some will insult you. Some will manipulate you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will deliberately press the buttons they know you have. You cannot control what they do, but you can decide whether the button still works. And eventually, you become the kind of man who cannot be easily moved. Not because nothing affects him, but because nothing else gets to decide who he becomes. The man who cannot be provoked, cannot be easily controlled, and the man who can govern himself has already conquered the most important territory in the world, his own mind.